Today, we're looking at two real stories. One about a teenager murdered for speaking out, and another about children living in fear inside their own home. These cases show just how dark the world can get, and how vital it is to protect those who dare to seek help. Viewer discretion is advised. The murder for hire that ended a teenager's life. This is the story of 17-year-old Isabella. In early February 2023, Isabella and her mother reported a sexual assault to authorities. The next day, a gunman came to their home. When Isabella answered the door, he opened fire. She was struck in the back while trying to run for help and died at the scene. Her mother was shot multiple times but survived. Authorities later tied the killing to a calculated plot. Prosecutors say the man accused of assaulting Isabella paid others to kill her so she would not testify. Federal investigators described the case as a contract killing, a violent, premeditated effort to obstruct justice by eliminating a witness. The brutality of the attack, and the timing, the shooting occurring just one day after the report to police, sent shockwaves through the local community and raised urgent questions about witness safety and the lengths to which perpetrators will go to silence survivors. How the investigation unfolded reads like a federal conspiracy case. Investigators pieced together communications, financial transfers, and witness testimony that pointed to an arrangement. One man paid others to carry out the murder. Evidence presented in federal court included messages and actions intended to conceal the plot, attempts to establish false alibis, and other efforts to tamper with or obstruct the investigation. A federal jury, after hearing a multi-week trial, found the accused guilty on charges that included murder for hire, conspiracy, and obstruction. The prosecution emphasized not only the violent act itself but the deliberate, transactional nature of it, that this was not a random shooting but a planned attempt to prevent testimony. Those convictions reflect how law enforcement treats attempts to use violence to interfere with the justice system. Beyond the courtroom facts, consider the human consequences. A 17-year-old who had the courage to report an assault lost her life shortly after seeking help. Her mother, gravely injured, watched her daughter die. Families, classmates, and community members were left to reconcile the horror of losing a young person whose only crime was asking for help. The case also forced local leaders and victim advocates to examine how survivors are protected after they speak out. Law enforcement and prosecutors in this case argued that swift and decisive federal intervention, the murder for hire charges, and the pursuit of conspiracy and obstruction counts were necessary to hold accountable everyone involved in silencing a witness. The message from prosecutors was clear. Targeting a witness with violence will be pursued as a federal offense with serious consequences. Legally, this case is notable for the range of charges and the federal nature of the prosecution. Cases that involve killing to prevent testimony often attract federal scrutiny because they involve conspiracy and obstruction of justice on top of homicide, and because they may cross jurisdictional lines. Federal prosecutors used the available statutes to pursue the full scope of alleged criminal conduct, not just the shooter's actions but the payments, communications, and alleged efforts to conceal the crime. The result was a conviction that carried mandatory life exposure at sentencing, reflecting the severity with which the justice system treats murder for hire and witness silence. Alleged child abuse in New Palestine, Indiana. The second case involves accusations so disturbing that they prompted immediate felony charges and community outrage. According to court documents and reporting, multiple children told investigators that a man forced them to stand in a corner for hours, sometimes until their legs gave out from numbness, and beat them with a belt. The children reported threats of suffocation, being cut with a knife, and other forms of intimidation while the man drank. One child sent a text message to a parent in October that triggered an investigation by the Department of Child Services. Subsequent affidavits described repeated physical abuse and threat. The allegations describe a pattern of control and fear designed to break the children down physically and psychologically. The criminal complaint alleges repeated, purposeful mistreatment, making children remain standing for hours, striking them with an instrument such as a belt, and issuing terrifying threats to silence them. Law enforcement responded by arresting the suspect and filing neglect and intimidation charges. The defendant was later released on a modest bond pending further court proceedings. These alleged facts, taken from affidavits and interviews, form the basis for prosecution and child welfare actions. Importantly, child protection agencies moved to ensure the children's safety while the criminal case proceeded. The immediacy of DCS involvement and the filing of criminal charges reflect how seriously authorities treat allegations of ongoing harm to minors. This case raises questions about detection and reporting. Reports indicate the abuse came to light because one child texted a parent for help. That alone highlights how modern communication can become a lifeline. It also raises issues about how communities, schools, and family members can be more vigilant, watch for signs of fear, unexplained injuries, and behavioral changes, encourage children to speak up, and ensure that complaints to social services are investigated quickly. The alleged threats, especially when a weapon is involved, heighten the risk profile and often prompt felony charges designed to remove the alleged abuser quickly from the environment. From a legal and social perspective, this alleged abuse is important because it involves multiple victims, repeated patterns, and claims of coercion and threat. Prosecutors and child welfare agencies must balance the need to preserve evidence and witness testimony with the immediate need to protect children. Courts will consider the statements made to investigators, any physical evidence or medical reports, and the credibility of witnesses. Meanwhile, community support systems, counseling, safe housing, victim services, are critical to helping child victims recover. For viewers, the case is a reminder to report suspected abuse immediately and to support organizations working to prevent child maltreatment. Stories like these remind us that the world can be cruel, but silence only makes it worse. Speak up when something feels wrong. Protect those who can't protect themselves, because every time someone looks away, another tragedy begins. Stay aware, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next video.